Over my time on the internet, I've bore witness to countless dramas and exposés. Some of them, like Lion Maker, were legitimate scumbags who deserved everything that came to them. And others, like Slazzo, Pyrocynical, and Quite, unfortunately were the victims of false accusations and had mobs of people looking to get rid of them because of this. As you can probably deduce by the title, we're talking about the latter today!
Let's go! Let's go!
But unlike Quite, this is actually fucking hilarious. So on October 10th, a girl known as Elena would come forth with screenshots of a guy named Zach being a bit of a weirdo, with him showing her his workout progression photos to the private server of a YouTuber named Lay and her Dokituber friends. That's right, we're talking about the Dokituber side of the DDLC community today, not about the modding community. Now, you may be wondering, wait a minute, haven't you talked about a guy named Zach before in one of your videos, Savage? And to answer that question, why yes I have, and make sure to hold that thought for later. To give a bit more context as to who Lay is and why she even matters, Lay is best known for being the last person in the DDLC community to be harassed by Durga Suchi before he fucked off for good. She also made this video coping about how her life sucks or something, which, looking back on it with the context of what I'm about to talk about, is absolutely hysterical. So Elena starts talking about this Zach guy, not really meaning much by it because there's nothing here to be concerned about. But when Lay and her gang of mouth-breathing Dokitubers saw this, they saw it as the perfect opportunity to get rid of this guy. Not because Zach did anything wrong, but because they didn't like him and didn't have the balls to tell him to fuck off. So instead of just telling him to leave, they started calling him a groomer and a pedophile. These Dokitubers, which, hold up, let me get my fucking list out here. Alright, these Dokitubers, fucking Yandere Gaming.
I feel so horrible and miserable and just so sad and lonely.
This fucking diverse Brennerk. Who the fuck is this Doki Senate guy? What the fuck, there's a guy named Harvey Ed? Who the fuck are these people? So these Dokitubers led by Lay would convene on how to go about handling this dangerous 16-year-old predator sending non-sexual tank top pics to a minor. Yeah, anyone with any common sense can look at this to see that this isn't grooming in the slightest. But not Lay! She would come up with the idea to make an expose video on Zach and how much of a piece of shit he is. Bitch is out here trying to be me, which I find hilarious since Brennerk, the guy who hosted the Dokituber Awards, specifically said that they should have went to me. She apparently confided in a friend and they spilt the beans to Zach and he got a slim moment to respond to the accusations. If he had gotten more chances to talk about his actions in this topic, hey, I haven't seen it. I don't think he's perfect by any means. He can be childish and annoying, and obviously he has a serious problem controlling his own emotions, but I don't think it constitutes this response. I stand by the fact that Lay and Elena were more open to communicate about their feelings on the issue the moment it happened. This whole situation could have been avoided. We'd actually know if Zach was being a perv or not, depending on how he would react. And Zach even said that it didn't have to be this way, and I agree. This could have been resolved a long time ago, and without such discomfort and hatred. I will also have the nerve to say that if they really did want to expose him, we should consult Savage. Hey! Which none of them would probably like because they don't like him either. But he had actual experience making expose videos, and I'm confident he'd call this bullshit. He wouldn't make an exposure video because it has no real evidence of grooming. So they're above all the drama and shit, until it becomes convenient for them. But instead of going to the guy who's literally built his entire career off of exposing people within this very community, they instead, in all their infinite wisdom, choose LeJigsaw Shift, aka DDLC's most shameless predator. Now, you may be wondering why Legixel would come out of nowhere to defend this Zach guy from the pedo allegations. Well, instead of telling you, I think it's better off if Past Me tells you. Due to your willingness to not only associate with a pedophile, but then had the audacity to platform said pedophile is absolutely fucking despicable. It makes y'all just as bad as him. So, dear viewer, I want to show you the profiles of every guilty party right now. Yes, Zach is one of the people who actively ran defense for Legixel over a year ago and still continues to stand by him to this day. Lay and Co. would have known this and would have had a legitimate reason to get rid of this guy, but due to their own pride and sheer ignorance, decided to pull a Rose and tried to cancel him for something he didn't even do. And even worse, they groomed this Elena girl into believing that she was groomed by Zach. Now, I'm not gonna say it here and point any of the blame on Elena here. She ultimately didn't know any better and was tricked into believing a lie. You know who did know better? Lay! But when this ultimately did backfire on her, she didn't apologize to Zach that, to her knowledge at the time, she just completely smeared. She does what she does best. Doubles down and makes herself the victim.
I heard the current situation is going on. I misused a word that shouldn't have been said looking back on the situation. The issue keeps getting spread to other people, which I really didn't want to because that causes more problems.
Bitch, who's the one who called him a groomer in the first place, bro? You're the one complaining?
Jack already knows the shit he said was led to some backlash. I'm stressed the fuck out about college because my family is gaslighting me and forcing me to stay in Virginia, and I feel like I'm suffocating the more I try to talk to him about it. I feel like I'm being pulled underwater, and the more I trash and try to kick off whatever is grabbing me, I will just continue to drown until I eventually die! It's fucking terrifying! I have not had the time to fully process everything because I already have so much on my plate as is. Because I'm not worried about checking on you guys and making sure you're okay while trying to balance my own shit. But it just drags me down further! I just want it on to pass. I fucking hate it! I keep trying not to blame myself, and this probably wouldn't have happened if I had a DM Nova.
No, it would have happened if you didn't call him a groomer.
Feeling uncomfortable and scared when Zach made the comment about physically harming a female classmate for such a small thing. I feel terrible about the whole thing. I never wanted so many people to get upset. I never wanted so many people to get involved. I never wanted info to be spread around. I never intended for worse damage to grow. I never wanted to get caught for lying. I'll admit, taking this situation as he did as a possible pedo is not the best situation. We did spiral with that, but it doesn't make it okay for him to send shirtless gym pics to a 14-year-old. Just ignore the fact that he's 16. That can be seen as explicit. And I'm aware he has sent gym pics to guys too, but that does not make it right for him to send those to underage girls, even if he himself is underage. I get it. It is great to show progress, but he doesn't just assuming someone wants to see it without even asking, which is why people get uncomfortable. And it wasn't appropriate for him to do that to Elena, which, I mean, we could have just told him to not do that, but no, he's a groomer.
Now you understand why I referenced that video Lay made back in the beginning. Lay has a pattern of behavior of making herself the victim to garner sympathy from others. But to get back on track, this drama would spill over to the main Dokituber Sentral server. This would lead to Zach being banned from there by Doki Senate, one of the guys in Lay's private server. So he knew the allegations were fake but still chose to ban him due to them. Anyways, heading back to the land of Lay, I guess shortly after playing the victim didn't work, Lay finally started to realize how much of a terrible person she is for doing this and chooses to leave her own server.
This place doesn't feel like a safe space anymore. I've come to accept that it's my fault that it doesn't feel that way. I am sorry for everyone who's gotten involved. And I'm sorry to Zach about the allegations. That is 100% my fault. And I'm willing to take the fall. I won't be chatting here until the issues die down. I can't stand being in this fucking server right now. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Shut your bitch ass up!
She would go around issuing half-baked apologies to people in the server, and it finally looked like this shit was going to die down. Fast forward like a day or something, I'm not entirely sure about the exact timeline, just due to factors we'll talk about in a minute, but all of this I know for a fact happened in 3 days. A guy going by Cocker would look back on what had happened and would give his 2 cents on the matter. It's one thing to kick him out due to people feeling uncomfortable about him, but to accuse someone so casually of grooming, that's a very serious thing and must be very carefully considered. People have taken their own lives due to the amount of hate they get for things they never did. Unless a thorough investigation is made both online as well as personally, it's a detriment to everyone involved for such a thing to happen. I don't know Zach all that well, but I do know he has younger siblings who love him. As far as I'm concerned, the people who accuse Zach of grooming should be ashamed of themselves. This is when Lay's biggest white knight, Nova, would come to the defense of his fallen queen. If only you fucking knew! If only you fucking knew! Lay already feels bad enough for what she did. It was a fucking accident. She accidentally called him a groomer. She doesn't need to be told for the 500th time she's fucked up. I don't blame her for thinking that way either. Well, Lay's gone. I had a similar thought when I saw what Zach did. It's best we all apologize to him and move on from this. But since you guys have to keep bringing this up for the dumbest fucking reasons, she felt obligated to leave her own fucking private server. The fuck he will. He is getting nothing from me. You do you, man. Like, jeez. Jay Killen Gaming himself would proceed to absolutely flame his ass, which I wish I had all the screenshots for that, and would convince him that he was wrong, which would lead to Nova giving Zach an official apology. Character growth, everyone! However, since Nova's now in charge of the server, he would go on to delete the venting channel, which would be the channel that had the most incriminating info. Oh! But it gets even better. Lay would come back to her server the very next day, in which she decided to delete the entire server outright in an attempt to hide what she had done. When I was in the process of writing this fucking script right here, I would get a hold of a document that Legixel Shift himself made in defense of Zach, which I'm not gonna read it all. If you want to read it for yourself, it'll be linked down below in the description. But I will read the bottom part of it, the updated part, as I feel like that has the most interesting information. Update. Through further investigation, we have discovered the undeniable fact that the incident regarding Zach has been extremely exaggerated. A testimony from Elena herself proves that someone convinced her, Lay, that this was happening and that the whole thing was a massive misunderstanding. To respect the wishes Zach himself has declared, we will not be naming anyone directly, unless they've been mentioned already in this document. Lay, we have received apologies from the World of Dreams head moderator and those who were involved in spreading the misinformation to defame Zach. I will keep this more or less to a quick minimum due to the guilty party agreeing to our terms.
If you wish for more information and to request evidence, please feel free to contact either me, the pedophile Legixel Shift, or H-Factor, my best friend, through our Discord server. To the people who called Zach a friend, I am honestly appalled by the actions you have taken throughout the course of events. If left alone, I doubt anyone, even the most guilty of you, would have ever apologized if we didn't say we would release the evidence we have at our disposal.
Well, I guess it's as Legixel already said. Yeah, I mean, Legixel may have some sort of quote-unquote tact, but I don't. Fuck all of y'all.
To those who came forward to apologize to Zach, despite what you think, an apology doesn't make something like this go away. You didn't stop any of it while it was happening, and we had to be the ones who actually looked into what happened.
The defense finds the defendant not guilty, Your Honor.
So, if you have any complaints about what I'm saying, keep in mind the person you all called a psychopath and pedophile is the only reason we're not calling any names out. And believe me, we know who you are.
Well, of course, Legixel's going on his anime villain arc. Which, I mean, Zach may not be a pedophile, but he surely defended one.
What Zach did there was little excuse for, but jumping to the conclusions over something none of you were ever 100% sure of is far more despicable than I could even put into words. You've broken trust in him that he will never get back. You should all be ashamed.
Bro, imagine getting shamed by the DDLC community's most shameless predator. Now that is fucking embarrassing.
By the way, Zach is 16. You all went apeshit over a 2-year age gap. XD. You're all fucking morons.
You know what? For once, me and Legixel can agree on something. Y'all are fucking morons.
Okay, I'm gonna say this right now just to clear things up, and because I'm not in the mood, I'm literally in pain right now. Don't ask, my persona's hurting like shit. But basically, this is the whole situation in a nutshell. So what happened is that one of my friends, I think, mistook it for grooming, and in a way, that kind of scared me because I actually thought I was being groomed. It wasn't until basically Brenner showed up that basically he told me no, or I wasn't being groomed. She was just technically uncomfortable with the situation because it still doesn't make it right, the fact that, grown man is sending you that photo without her consent. And he cleared some things up for us, and long story short, the whole grooming thing was a misunderstanding because of what happened. So, yeah, in other words, Lay basically almost scared the shit out of me. I thought I was being groomed, but luckily Brenner shut those allegations up and basically debunked them.
So that's where this story ends. So to recap, Lay and her Dokituber cuck friends decided to falsely accuse a 16-year-old named Zach of child grooming. They would go as far as to plan out an expose video on him, seemingly not realizing whose game this is.
With everybody saying,
Savage Sentral.
yeah!
In their complete incompetency, they would fail to realize that Zach was this entire time a defender of the pedophile Legixel shift, and they would even talk to Legixel to hear his defense of Zach, not realizing that Legixel shift's the pedophile, who I already exposed a year prior. They would have known all of this if they would have watched my video I made on him a year ago, and after all of that, would issue apologies to the pedo defender for falsely accusing him of grooming. So, what did we all learn today? Watch Savage Sentral, or else you will end up just like these dumbasses, committing career suicide because you couldn't be bothered to do 5 minutes of research, leading to the biggest embarrassment the Dokituber side of the DDLC community has ever seen, and y'all wouldn't have known a damn thing about any of this if it wasn't for me right here. The shit Lay did to Zach was the same shit that I destroyed Rose for doing to me, Jay, TRM, and many others. I was not gonna sit back and let this shit slide. So to Lay and all the other Dokitubers who were involved in this, let this be a lesson for your bitch asses to stay in your lane, and a reminder of whose game this really is. And as always, until next time.